All right, all right, all right. Looks like I am live and oh, what the hell? I mean, poop. Big bug just fell in front of me. Big beetle. What the heck? Ugh. Where the heck did it go? I do not want. Where? There's a huge bug that just fell from the ceiling, and I do not want it crawling around here. All right, well, this is what I'm doing live. Ooh. I don't see it. All right, well, I don't know if I'm gonna sleep tonight. That's okay. That's a big bug. Anyway, here I am in a new place. I'm staying here for a week. Avery and I moved out of our place yesterday, this morning, and yeah, now I'm here, and it's gonna be good. Just here for a week though, and then I'm gonna go to Amarillo with Sean, and then after that I'll be coming back here for a little tiny bit, and then I'll be heading to the great north. Anyway, so something I did today that was exciting was the Austin, Texas citywide auditions by atxtheater.com. Where'd that bug go? This is gonna drive me nuts. It was huge. Ugh. So, citywide auditions. Yes, citywide auditions was a lot of fun. A lot of talented people, a lot of producers there. Yeah, it was a good time, and I don't know. I really don't feel like talking today. I'm sorry, guys, or me, I guess I should say, because I'm probably the only one watching. I'm not even sure if you hear me. Anyway, I don't know. Why do I? I don't want to talk. Please don't make me talk. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep recording, and I'm gonna watch Crash Course. So, I love Crash Course. It's a great YouTube channel. Probably one of my favorite YouTube channels ever. I love John and Hank Green. I think they are fantastic hosts. Really great characters. So yeah, good times. Anyway.
And in September 1774, a group of delegates from 12 of the 13 colonies, Georgia, met in Philadelphia to coordinate the resistance of the Intolerable Act. This was the first Continental Congress, which in setting up the Continental Association to police the boycott and encourage domestic manufacturing was the first real colony-wide government in British America. Thanks, Dr. Well, so this sort of phenomenon is known by historians as kind of a big deal. I mean, coordinating action to achieve some end is what governments do, so it's not an exaggeration to say that the first Continental Congress was the first government of America. You might even say that sending delegates to Philadelphia in 1774 was the first truly revolutionary act of the American Revolution, but it was not a call for independence. However, there was a changing attitude among many colonists, because rather than seeing themselves as standing up for their rights as English people, they began to make claims based on abstract ideas about freedom and natural rights. In this respect, the Continental Congress was between worlds, because it justified its actions as liberties of free and natural born subjects within the realm of England, but it also talked about about immutable laws of nature. And this idea that all humans have certain rights derived from natural law has become a pretty big deal, not just in the United States, but also in the green lands of not America. I mean, these days, human rights is a phrase that we bandy about. Can you show up every time the words human rights are mentioned to make sure that we're talking about China and not you? And this brings me back to an important point. Although we tend to equate the two, the American Revolution and the American War for Independence were not the same thing. I mean, for one thing, the fighting started 15 months before the Declaration of Independence. For another, simply declaring independence does not make you an independent nation, as I will now demonstrate. I hereby declare this studio the independent nation of John Green, Sylvania. Yeah, see, nothing happened. The war between colonists and Britain began in 1775, on April 19th to be exact, when fighting broke out between British soldiers and Massachusetts militiamen, the Minutemen, at Concord and Lexington, or Lexington and Concord, depending on whether you live in Lexington or Concord. This was the famous shot heard around the world, immortalized in Longfellow's poem The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. So while the colonists actually lost the famous Battle of Bunker Hill, which was technically fought on Breed's Hill, the British suffered such heavy casualties that soon thereafter they were forced
I found the giant bug.
But then they got some revenge by taking over New York, which they held for most of the rest of the war. But in thinking about the war, it's very important to understand that not all colonists were pro-independence. Like elites in colonies like New York and Pennsylvania were very nervous about all this revolutionary fervor that was whipping up artisans and small-time farmers to think that they deserved to have say in the political process. Oh, it's time for the mystery documents? Awesome. I love getting shocked. The rules here are simple. If I guess the author of the mystery document correctly, I do not get the shock bit. If I'm wrong, I do get the shock bit. All right, let's see what we got here. The Americans are properly Britons. They have the manners, habits, and ideas of Britons and have been accustomed to a similar form of government. But Britons could never bear the extremes, either of monarchy or republicanism. Some of their kings have aimed at despotism, but always failed. Repeated efforts have been made toward democracy, and they've equally failed. If we may judge of future events by past transactions in similar circumstances, this would most probably be the case in America, were a republican form of government adopted in our present ferment. All right, so we've got an educated person who thinks that Americans are Britons who will inevitably want to walk a middle path between republicanism and monarchy, and therefore the revolution is not a good idea. I know it's a communist because of the reference to our present ferment. All right, I'm going to guess that it is Ben Franklin's son, William Franklin. Ah, dang it! Who is it? Who the hell is Charles Inglis? Charles Inglis? Charles freaking Inglis? I've never even heard of that guy. It's not fair. Oh, I hate family vision for something. Anyways, people like Inglis remind us that not everyone in the colonies was all fired up to be an independent nation. In fact, in July of 1775, the Continental Congress sent the Olive Branch petition to King George III, suggesting that Americans were loyal British subjects and wanted reconciliation with the mother country. But then along came Thomas Paine's pamphlet Common Sense. Why couldn't that be the document? Common Sense appeared in January of 1776, and it was like the Harry Potter of its time, only with liberty instead of wizards. Written in relatively straightforward English, the pamphlet contained many powerful historical arguments, like a world where there's one honest man in society and in the sight of God, and all the crown fluctuates and forbid. Just common sense, like this nugget. There is something absurd in supposing a continent to be perpetually governed by an island. Also, there's two directly and I told by the way, he still managed to die technically only 8 feet from his funeral because of his vitriolic Christianity. But anyway, America has been very independent for many years. But Paine's persuasive arguments were one important, and it marks a moment when defense is not more powerful, but at least more important than the sword. I mean, within 6 months of the publication of Common Sense, the Second Continental Congress had declared independence and signed one of the most important documents in the history of the world, which is where we'll pick up next week. Thanks for watching. Crash Course is produced and directed by Stan Muller. Our script supervisor is Meredith Danko. The associate producer is Danica Johnson. The show is written by my high school history teacher, Raoul Meyer, and myself, and our graphics team is Bob Muller. If you have questions about today's video or anything from American history, good news. You can ask them in comments where they will be answered by our team historian. Thanks for watching Crash Course. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and if you stay in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome. Whoa. Open the AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hi, my check engine light's on. Let's see what our free fix finder service says. And if you need help, we can refer you to a shop. That's an easy fix. The time has come for you to get your driver's license. Before you hit the road, you'll need to pass a driver's education course. Now, you could spend your weekends in a classroom, or you could choose ACEable, the most convenient way to get your license that is 100% state approved. Become a confident, independent driver wherever you are, all at your own pace. With teaching methods backed by science, you'll actually remember what you learned come test time. Our driving experts will make you a master of merging, a traffic sign superstar, a parallel parking prodigy. We know that getting your license can feel kind of overwhelming, so we've designed a course that will guide you every step of the way, led by the world's best driver's ed teacher. In fact, our courses have helped over 2 million students become safe and responsible drivers. So choose the most convenient way to ace your driver's test with ACEable. See you on the road. Hi, I'm John Green. This is Crash Course US History. There are two kinds of revolutions: those where things do change and those where things don't change. Like, not to get all Crash Course mathematics on you or anything, but a revolution is a 360-degree turn which leads you back where you started. That's what happened with the French Revolution. Basically, they just exchanged a bourbon for a bonus. This is American history. And shut up, French people, about how it worked for years of revolution. This would be the history of southern Canada, but other revolutions like the Revolution actually changed things. So, which was the American Revolution? Well, little column A, little column. Mr. Green, yeah, we went from a bunch of rich white guys running the show all the way to a bunch of rich white guys running the show. You're not wrong, me. From the 1700s were a pretty good century for rich white guys everywhere. I mean, they were running the show in Holland and Portugal and Spain, but only the United States became the country that invented baseball, the Model T, and competitive eating. So you're right, people. But even if the U.S. didn't live up to its rhetoric, that rhetoric was still counted. And in the end, whether you care more about ideas or policy, defines whether you think the American Revolution really was revolutionary. All right, let's start with the War for Independence. If you've been watching Crash Course, you'll know that we're not big on going through this war detail, but we're obligated to tell you something about it. The main strategy of the British in the Revolutionary War was to capture all the cities and force the colonists to surrender. And the first part of that strategy pretty much worked. They captured Boston and New York and Charleston, but all the colonists had to do was not quit. I mean, they had
daily insights to John, more like watch John don't be inciting. Whatever. Whatever.
Everybody knows you got a funny voice. Famous. That's a made-up fact.
I don't care.
Put it on your AP test. What do I know about Washington? Well, I know he had a funny voice. Washington survived a bunch of peasants, which is a pretty impressive victory, especially since he just come off a string of defeats. So he wasn't even returning to do an all-out rout and ended up having to spend a miserable winter in Valley Forge. But remember, generals always lose. But the most important battle, at least in the north, is not Trenton, but Saratoga. This was a major defeat for the British, and while it's often put forth as an example of the superiority of the continental fighting man, the British mostly lost because of terrible generalry. The French would eventually bankrupt themselves, helping us, which would lead to their own revolution. As thanks, we named our most important food after them. In the south, the country city trend continued, with the British taking Charleston, but then continuing to lose smaller-scale battles and be harassed by guerrilla-style tactics. The key battle of the war in the south, because it was the one where the British surrendered, was at Yorktown in 1781. Lord Cornwallis made a brilliant tactical decision to station his troops on a peninsula surrounded on three sides by water filled with French ships, and the British lost the war. So what did this all mean for actual people? Well, Americans like to think that we all pitched in together and got rid of British tyranny and lived happily ever after. Also, that the Continental Army was the bravest, most loyal, and most effective fighting force in human history, thanks to the leadership of George Washington. But actually, well, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Morale among Continental soldiers was often pretty low. Rations were poor and soldiers went unpaid. As Joseph Plum Martin, a soldier from Connecticut, wrote, they felt they were starving in detail for an ungrateful people who did not care what became of us. And many other colonists didn't fight for independence. They fought with the British. Others were pacifists, like the Quakers, who often had their property confiscated when they refused to fight. And in colonial America, of course, losing property also meant losing rights. And for slaves, the so-called fight for freedom was very different than it was for continental soldiers, because loyalty to Britain in the war could mean freedom. In 1775, British Governor Lord Dunmore issued a proclamation that granted freedom to any slave who deserted his master and fought for the British. Something like 5,000 slaves took him up on the offer. And in addition, many slaves saw the revolution as a chance to escape. Boston King left a cruel master and later wrote, "I determined to go to Charlestown and throw myself into the hands of the English. They received me readily, and I began to feel the happiness of liberty, of which I knew nothing before."
Oh, is it time to get off? It is. All right, bye.
Returned to their masters, but more than 15,000